Welcome to the Veterans Cafe podcast, where we talk about issues surrounding veterans and soldiers, as well as current events in the world.
Sometimes we interview guests and organizations, but more than anything, we are here for you.
Welcome to episode 28 of the Veterans Cafe podcast. I'm Wes.
I'm Tracy.
And today we have kind of a special guest for you guys. We had the founder and CEO of a nonprofit organization called veteranaid.org on the podcast to talk to us about a benefit that really no one's ever heard of. We hadn't heard of it.
No, and it is definitely worth making some time and paying attention to every word she has to say. She's charming, of course, so you'll probably enjoy her, but the information that she's going to give you has the potential to change your life significantly.
So, without further ado, here's Debbie Burrick of the veteranaid.org nonprofit. Thanks for being with us today, Debbie. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization?
Well, first, let me say, Wes and Tracy, I'm really delighted to be with you today. Thanks for having me. I am happy to tell you a little bit about veteranaid.org. I founded this organization 10 years ago as the daughter of a World War II veteran whose parents were in assisted living for a total of 9 years. And during that experience, when adult children have to step up in a caregiving capacity, you have to learn your parents' finances. You have to oversee so many things. And quite frankly, my parents, while my dad did very well in life, the cost of assisted living for two individuals was more than what their monthly income was. Sure. And so the family had to step up and fill in that shortfall each month. Well, my dad, as a World War II veteran, we turned to the VA on several occasions, looking to see if there was anything that would help with medications, any type of assistance to alleviate some of that financial burden. And we were told on all of those occasions that because my dad was not injured during his time in service, that he wasn't eligible for any VA benefits. And so we let that go. Well, then when my dad passed and I looked at moving my mom from Florida to Virginia, I kind of stumbled on something that wasn't clearly defined in regards to a benefit that could possibly help to offset some of those expenses for assisted living. And fast forwarding on that for you, I ended up making an application on a Women of Prayer, never knowing for 1 second what I was about to discover. And that is that my dad had indeed been entitled to a VA benefit that was not dependent on him having been injured during his time in service. Mm-hmm. And it ended up being for both my parents over that 9-year period, $160,000.
That's pretty significant.
Tax-free. It is significant. So fast forwarding a little bit more, my mom went into hospice care and I had made application. The VA would not release her funds because they do not acknowledge power of attorney. They operate off fiduciary process. And so that was really the catalyst. Because having gone through that experience and discovering this little known VA pension benefit, I knew that I now had information that could not change or impact my folks' lives, but I could change it for the next son or the next daughter who was now beginning that journey as the caregiver for a senior loved one. And so that is truthfully how Veteran Aid began to be created. And that was 10 years ago.
So that's amazing to me that you just kind of, you guys just stumbled upon this by, and like you said, just on a whim, you just filled out a form and then discovered this amazing benefit that no one knows about. I've certainly never heard of it until you guys reached out to us. So how did it really get started with your becoming like an organization? I mean, did it just start with a website and you, or did you get a couple people behind you, or maybe family members? How did you turn it into such a big thing to where you guys are really like helping a lot of people now.
like 10 years later, right?
10 years later, and which is really hard for me to grasp that it'll actually be in August 11 years. But it's really funny. It's probably something that's not definable in answering your question, Wes, because when I launched the website, I had no vision. I did not launch it as a business venture. I launched it with the hope that I could change the ending for someone else while honoring that sacrifice of service. So initially, I just figured I would put it out there and folks would maybe here and there stumble on the website and learn and get educated about this benefit. What I did when I initially launched Veteran Aid was I turned to all of the veterans organizations, thinking that they would be my go-to resource, if you will, who would be thrilled to learn about this information and appreciate my lack of respect, if you will, for the Department of Veterans Affairs and how they were failing our veterans. And I was shocked to learn that so many of those groups that I thought would be an adversary and work with me, would actually took an adversarial role against me, thinking that I was speaking ill of the VA. And I didn't get anywhere. And then I sent out press releases to all of the major media outlets and newspapers and everything else, thinking, oh my gosh, everybody's just going to be all over this story. What an incredible thing this is, a benefit that's been around for, at that time, 50 some years that nobody knew about. This is amazing. And got very little response. And so I obviously got a little disheartened over it and a little frustrated. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go after myself. And I targeted the baby boomers. I went and looked for that son or that daughter or family member who had a high probability of having a senior loved one. And in that age bracket, the odds and the percentage of that loved one having been either a veteran or the widow of a veteran is incredibly high. And so the website started getting more and more traffic, and I would comment on various articles. I tracked everything military. I would put the link for the website. I joined Facebook. I joined the social medias I joined all the military groups. I worked this from the ground up, truly a grassroots effort. And then when the emails and the contacts became overwhelming with the number of individuals in a financial difficult situation or a loved one who could no longer live on their own and they couldn't afford the care, I ended up adding the forums to the website. With the hope that the people that were having success and in this process would assist each other and share information, because quite truthfully, for 10 years, there was no other family member. I did not have a staff. I worked this 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And because I believe that my efforts were blessed, if you will, by my parents kind of looking down on me and saying, gosh, isn't Debbie doing a great job? We're really proud of her. Amazing things happened. The website is ranked organically number one.
That is such a huge deal, too.
It is huge. And when you've got folks spending quite a bit of money for sponsored ads to come up in that search engine, here we are. And I always reference we, as it's such a huge entity at this point. Organically ranked number one. And I just feel like because my efforts were blessed, because I was trying to help others, it's kind of like what goes around comes around. Sort of mentality, if you will. But the website grew exponentially on its own, with me just working and answering 7 days a week and promoting everywhere I could, submitting media, trying to get interviews. And, I ended up working with the Senate Committee on Aging on a year-long investigation. I went to Washington. I met with senators and Congress people and demanded that they step up and do their part and make them aware that the VA was failing our veterans. So there's not really a short answer. It was 10 years that it was step by step, building, grabbing every opportunity, doing every interview. If only one person benefited from it, was one that wouldn't have otherwise. So just a passion and advocacy and determination to make this difference.
Well, sorry. That's it's amazing. It's amazing actually that you say you got so much pushback. I mean, and from people outside the VA. That I mean, I don't know. I've always kind of everyone that I've ever known that's spoken about the VA. Not a whole lot of people have a lot of great things to say about it in the first place. So I find it a little shocking that you would get so much pushback. Do you still, I mean, especially now that you guys have grown and you're starting to make such a huge impact, do you still feel like you kind of have that adversarial presence on the other side of what you're doing?
I'll be honest with you, I'm probably even more so because of now. Debbie's not the only person talking about the VA's failings.
Mm-hmm.
Their scandals have become so much more exposed and on a national level that most people have heard at some point in time that the VA's got another scandal, or the VA's, shredding documents, the VA's hiding this, the bonuses that are awarded to high-ranking officials, while on average, we have 22 veterans committing suicide on a daily basis. So we have over 80,000 on any given night that are homeless. If you're going to claim that you're doing the right thing, then there should not be this many issues. I don't know how you justify failing our veterans where it's accepted that an average of 22 vets a day are going to feel there's no other way out but to commit suicide.
I agree completely. Just recently, we saw in the news that there was, I don't know if you saw this or not, and it still breaks my heart, but there was a veteran who set himself on fire in front of a VA hospital. And
yes.
The speculation, of course, is because obviously he wasn't getting help. So
yes. And that's exactly what happened. And that's not uncommon that these vets, unfortunately, will go make that last statement.
Mm-hmm.
I think in part hoping to draw attention to the failings of the VA.
Mm-hmm.
But what a lot of people don't realize, Tracy, is that while we all get up and go about our daily lives and do what we enjoy and have the things that we have,
Mm-hmm.
only 1% of our population steps up and takes that oath.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like anything else in our lives. If it doesn't impact you, we filter what
Right.
isn't relevant to us.
Mm-hmm.
So if you yourself are not in the military, or your loved one is not in the military, or you're not the wife dealing with the husband who's eat up with Agent Orange,
Mm-hmm.
and PTSD so severe that he's not the person to yourself or to himself that you even recognize any longer, it doesn't impact your life.
Mm-hmm.
And the unfortunate thing is, if this was something that encompassed the broader scope of our population, everybody would have an ear turned towards it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody would be weighing in on it. But if it doesn't impact your life and you hear that another veteran has committed suicide, it doesn't, that's too bad.
Right.
Nobody stops to say, how did it get to that point?
Mm-hmm.
And that's my goal, is to raise the awareness not only on this benefit that our veterans are entitled to in their final days of their life to be able to afford quality and proper care, but to have their dignity afforded to them.
And it's one of the reasons that we seriously love having people like you on our podcast, is because just letting people know that, that there are so many people out there that care in the way you do. And from being a veteran myself, I can tell you from myself and from the rest of us, we can't tell you how much we appreciate what you do, and how much you've invested into taking care of veterans like your parents and the rest of us. But we would definitely love to hear, especially more about really what it is that you do. I mean, I know that you've probably helped a lot of people so far. So what is it exactly, as far as the benefit, as far as reaching out to people and how you're able to help them? Like, what, who are you helping, and how does it help them? Like, more specifically, like in the nitty gritty kind of thing.
Happy to go into that, because that really is the meat and potatoes of this whole interview and what we're hoping to share here today. But Wes, I would be remiss to not stop right now and say, A, thank you for your kind words about my efforts. But B, and more importantly, thank you for your service to our country. Thank you for that.
Thanks for your support. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. So what we're going to talk about is a little known VA benefit that is often referenced as aid and attendance.
Mm-hmm.
Short abbreviation, you'll hear people reference it as A&A. Some people will call it special monthly pension or special monthly compensation. It goes by a number of different things. As a veteran, Wes, you probably, if you've ever dealt with the VA, you know that nothing is written in English. It is all written to leave you shaking your head going, is there a translator anywhere nearby?
Oh, yeah. I barely made it through college. Barely.
You're so silly.
Well, the VA is going to make sure you don't figure this out. So aid and attendance is classified as a pension, which is very, very different from VA compensation. Compensation from the Department of Veterans Affairs is given and awarded when you suffered injuries during your time in service. You've been rated by the VA either 10% or 100%. You have a rating from the VA for service-connected injury, and that is compensation.
Right.
Aid and attendance is quite different because it is a pension, and aid and attendance is not dependent upon service-connected injuries. So if you or your loved one is a veteran who served at least 90 days with only 1 day that was during an approved period of war, you may be eligible for the aid and attendance pension. And it falls under the top tier of what the VA calls improved pension. Mm-hmm. Improved pension is 3 tiers, and that consists of the basic level, housebound level, and top tier would be aid and attendance. And it's been an entitlement for 65 years, and it is by far the single most overlooked benefit for our veterans and their surviving spouses who now require assistance with their day-to-day living. And again, because this is a pension benefit, and I always stress this, it is not dependent upon service-related injuries for receiving this. So I always like to kind of bullet point that you need to keep in mind that you do not need to be service connected. You do not need to have retired from the military. And you don't have to have actually even been or seen combat. You could be stateside And if one single day during that 90 consecutive days falls during an approved period of war, which is set and established by Congress, that's all it takes is that one day. And you do have to meet, it is a means tested benefit. You have to meet the income and net worth criteria. But so many folks, especially our more senior veterans, they don't even look because they were not injured during their time of duty. They think that they're not entitled to anything except maybe the VA loan or the GI Bill. They did not get a Purple Heart, no Bronze Star. They don't see themselves as a decorated war hero. And I think that goes to the fact that it was a different era, different time, no sense of entitlement. Meanwhile, this benefit is a financial resource.
Right.
So if you are the veteran who now requires assistance either in your home or in a facility situation, and you are the veteran, single, $17.88 a month, tax-free, to help you pay for that care to offset those expenses. If you are the widow of a veteran whose time in service, also everything has to be qualified by that approved period of war, it's $11.49 a month. For a veteran and spouse who both require assistance, both are in facility care, whatever it may be, $21.20 per month. And for a veteran with an ill spouse, $14.06 a month. And this is all based on the highest tier of aid and attendance, which is where most folks look because there's not enough income from dad's Social Security to cover the expenses for either home care or assisted living care. This makes the difference. And when you're looking at $21.20 a month times 12, that is not pocket change. That is the amount of money that is going to allow someone to have proper care, proper services.
Definitely.
I'm really suddenly starting to feel like I can't even fathom how many people could have benefited from this in a positive, and we're only maybe a decade or maybe two at the most away from an entire another generation sort of entering that scope of time where I don't know, this is just listening to you talk about it kind of hit me a little bit, a little more than I had realized it at first. So that's pretty amazing. And like most people, I've obviously never even heard of this. So,
well, both my brothers, one is deceased, but both my brothers never heard of it. My one brother could have certainly used it when he was going through his final days, passing and in hospice from cancer. My other brother is a captain, and everybody that in the family, both my brothers served, my dad served. And when I started this whole thing, everybody thought I was crazy. My aunt worked in politics down in Miami, Florida, and said she knew everything and said that I was, crazy, that if there was a benefit, she'd have known about it. My dad would have known about it. And where was I coming up with this stuff? And for me, the redemption was when the letter came from the VA and said they had awarded my mother this measly amount of $953 a month. That was like hitting the lottery for me. But I was like, almost like a child, like, really? Huh? This is what you got. But
wow.
The thing that you have to keep in mind is our Vietnam vets are in that right now. Our Vietnam vets are 65 and older. And not only that, but our Korean War veterans are in this right now. This is what they're dealing with. This is what their sons and daughters are having to deal with a senior loved one. And when folks you talk about sticker shock, make a phone call to an assisted living facility down where you guys are and ask what the rates are monthly for just one person, let alone two. And then as that adult caregiver stepping up in that capacity for your loved one, and you get into the finances and you think to yourself, my God, we cannot afford this.
Yeah, no, it's pretty horrifying. The
It's
amount of medicine is,
staggering.
and
Oh
then
my
just medicine
gosh.
alone. Not to mention the quality of care, because you don't want to put your loved one just anywhere. You want to put your loved one somewhere where they're going to be treated well. So
Of
of course,
course.
the financial burden is significant. So we definitely believe in. The love you give, you get back. And, you're obviously helping quite a few people, and we're incredibly grateful for, what you've done so far. At this
Thank
point,
you.
10 years later, how can we help further? Like, what do you need at this point to reach out more, to help more people?
I think what we really need at this point, Tracy, is just it's education. That's what the website was always intended to be, was to educate, inform, so that folks were aware. My goal from day one was to make this benefit as common knowledge as Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, so that when you are either the veteran or the surviving spouse or the child having to step up in that caregiver capacity, you know to look here, just like you look at their Social Security award letter, just like you look at the Medicare coverage they have, you would know to look at this benefit because it is so hidden, because the VA is currently trying to bury it even further by imposing a 3-year look back on it.
Mm-hmm.
The more people are educated about this benefit that is such a huge financial resource, anything that anyone can do to help share that information, whether it's referring, which I hope you would, to the website of veteranaid.org, where folks can take their time. It's a lot of information to process, but I wrote the site to educate, to walk you through the process, to give you an idea of where you might stumble, where you might encounter misinformation. When do you involve a senator or a congressperson when a claim has been delayed for an extraordinary amount of time? How do you deal with the fiduciary process? How do you deal with this? Because when you're dealing with the VA, it's very different than any other branch that you might be dealing with. So the site was written, it has every form that you need, the mailing addresses, the support from the forums, anything that you need. So if you can direct folks there where they can be educated, and because I mentioned earlier that this is a 3-tier benefit that ascends from that basic level to housebound to aid and attendance, I would be remiss to not mention here that one of the other little secrets the VA keeps is that the day that a veteran, Wes, are you listening here? I want you to write this down.
Well, we're both veterans, so trust me, we're
Well, then,
listening.
okay, well, then I am oops, there, because Tracy, thank you as well for your service. So both of you write this down. The day you turn 65, the VA is going to classify you permanently and totally disabled. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I have never heard that in my life
I
ever.
did not know that.
Oh, okay. You heard it now, today. The reason being is not that you're physically disabled. You're no longer going to be drafted. You're not going to be deployed. So for VA purposes only, not
Oh,
by
I gotcha.
anyone else, but for VA purposes only, you are now permanently and totally disabled.
Right.
What that means is for those low income veterans who, let's say, came back from service and just never really re-engaged in life very successfully, worked here, worked there, their entire Social Security check is $700 a month.
Right.
I don't know of anybody that can live on $700 a month.
We don't either.
That basic level has no physical requirement or component. It is strictly financially means tested. So if you only make $700 a month from your Social Security, that means that you're eligible for almost $1,100 a month,
Okay.
tax free from
Okay.
the VA. So you don't get the whole 1100. You get brought up to that level. So from the 7 to the 11. And I can tell you that while most people may not think that $400 is a lot of money, that means you're going to keep the heat on through the winter. You're going to be able to go to the grocery store. If you need a new tire replaced on the car, you're going to be able to afford some of the things or get a prescription filled. So to me, it is a tremendous disgrace given the homeless population that we have that our veterans encompass, especially in our capital, where the homeless on the streets is just unbelievable in Washington, D.C., where
Yeah.
all of those that are supposed to represent our best interests and the Department of Veterans Affairs is that you're not out on the street doing
the irony
outreach.
is overwhelming. We know.
It really is. Why aren't you doing outreach? Why aren't you at the homeless shelters
Right.
asking who here is a veteran? What's your dates of service? Because again, you have to have an honorable discharge. You have to serve during an approved period. But if you're 65 and you're below that 1100, and as I have made my case in Washington many, many times, while that might make just for a really nice lunch for you and the boys when you go over to where Congress has their lunch,
Right.
that's a winter coat, hat, gloves,
Right.
shoes. It is knowing you're going to eat every day and a place to lay your head down. And no, it will not be the Ritz, but it doesn't have to be the street.
Right.
Most
So
definitely.
this pension has tremendous impact from all three levels. It's just that I focused as the daughter coming up with that shortfall, exhausting everything after 9 years, running up credit cards to pay it. And then for the VA to tell me case closed because my mother died. And I went to my congressman and I had a little chat. And I said, I want you to grab a piece of paper because I really, really need you to write something down for me. They were like, well, what's that? And I said, you have done this to the wrong daughter.
I love that so much. More than I can ever
That's
tell
what
you.
we need more of. I mean, that's what
Let
we
me
need.
tell you, my maiden name is Cicerelli.
I love that so much.
There's the fire.
I love
There's
it.
the fire right there. So for 10 years, I've had the honor, the privilege of changing the final days for people for countless hundreds of thousands of individuals that I still am in awe that it's not just 100 or 1,000, that it truthfully is hundreds of thousands of people who were able to afford their loved one, their dignity, and the care and services they need in that last lap. So I'm honored to have done the work that I've done. I'm not done. I'm launching a new venture where I'll probably be going up to Washington and filming YouTube videos in front of the Department of Veterans Affairs. Because when I say that I am determined that this benefit become as common knowledge as Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid,
Right.
that every veteran or their widow who now requires the assistance with daily living knows there's a financial resource to ensure that they are entitled, that we honor that sacrifice of service, and that the loved ones can make sure that their family member gets what they need.
Debbie, I cannot tell you how much of an eye-opener this really was for me to have you on here. And I did actually go through your guys' website quite a bit before we had you on, and it's amazing to me how much information, I mean, even like reviews of assisted living locations, and it was just, it's inspiring to
Thank
hear
you.
your story and to see the website, and really just to know how much you care, and I feel like I cannot wait at this point to get as much of this out there as we possibly can. And thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about it. And like I said, we were just completely in the dark about all of this, you know, and it's such a moving thing just to hear about how passionate you are and how many people you already helped, and the potential amount of people out there that could still be helped. And thank you so much for making us a part of that. For coming on and allowing us to have the opportunity to help you with it. Even if our little podcast only gets a couple people your way, gosh, I feel like I really did something amazing.
Do you know, Wes, I never minimize it. And because I don't think I could have kept going for 10 years if I thought, what difference does it make? Mm-hmm. You're never going to be this, you're never going to be that. But I cannot tell you how many times that it's just taken that one person mm-hmm. that's written an email to say, you are an angel, mm-hmm. you have been a blessing, you have been this. And the thing that you need to keep in mind too is that unlike many decades ago where families stayed in the same city or the same town, it is very, very common now that folks are several states away. I'm in Virginia. My folks were in Florida. It's not easy. So when you can have all of these other assistants and aides to help you identify a facility that might be a good fit for your loved one and be able to explore that potential option and learn that there's financial monies to help you be able to afford that care. There's so many things going on when you're farther away and not hands-on. So anything that we can do between offering those reviews or letting you join, and everything on the website is free. There's never, ever been a charge for anything on veteranaid.org, where other sites you go there, they want you to sign up, and mm-hmm. there is a fair amount of money to have to be registered. It was for many years, the website was a nonprofit, and that's recently been discontinued. So it was through the help and the support of those donations, because I self-funded this project mm-hmm. for 10 years and never took a paycheck. Right. So you guys sharing it, getting it out there, and if we help one son or one daughter that we can help with that final salute, then job well done.
No, I agree. I mean, I think we both agree. It takes one person, to impact somebody's life, significantly, and that one person could change the world. So we definitely appreciate all of your efforts for the past 10 years, and we will definitely continue to share your website. And oh my God, I look forward to seeing you just, continue on YouTube and things like that.
Yes,
Thank you.
We will we will be sharing your blog post and any relevant forums, anything like that we can find. And when you do, move off into this other venture, please do not hesitate to send us links.
Won't. Mm-hmm. And you guys promise you'll put the link up to the YouTube videos,
most definitely,
right?
We will. Yes.
We will happily put the links up.
Okay, well, don't tell the VA I'm coming. All right? I like to surprise.
I like that.
We didn't tell you, but they're actually one of our subscribers, so they're already coming after us. I mean, I'm just.
Let me tell you something. Both of you know how when you run a website, you're very in tune and pay attention to things, and you look at the things that analyze, and you try and
mm-hmm.
look at your traffic, etc.
Right.
In the top 10 visitors every single month consistently, do you know who's in the top 10?
I think that is so funny.
You got it. The VA.
I think that is so funny.
Oh, I thought you were just going to say General Shinseki, but he's gone now, so I think it's.
He's been gone, and now we've got this whole other mess, but we'll save that for another day, because yeah. I get down these roads, so sometimes you can't wheel me back in. Sorry.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We definitely will. We'll save that for hopefully down the road we can have an update and definitely do this again with you sometime.
Yeah, I was going to say, my husband was going to say it too, obviously, because I just cut him off because, we're married and that's what I do. But
that's what we do, yeah.
But we definitely want to keep following you, and the next chapter in your book, we definitely want to be there to help share.
Thank you. And there is a book in the making. So
very nice.
I'm just determined. I am one stubborn little girl, and
I love that. Totally love that.
I just absolutely no is not an acceptable answer. Sorry,
very
not
nice.
On my watch.
Well, Debbie, thank you so much for coming on. This was truly an amazing conversation, and like I said, we can't wait to get as much of this out there as we can. And
thank you.
And thank you from all of us veterans, for everything you do. Thanks so much.
My pleasure, my honor. You guys have a good one, and thank you.
Oh, you too.
God bless America.
Oh, we agree. Thank God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So thanks to Debbie again for coming on, and veterainaid.org for posting a blog about us. They actually did a blog for us a while back, so thanks for that as well. If you guys have time, definitely head over to iTunes and give us a quick review. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. I'm Wes.
I'm Tracy.
And we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Visit our website to join the conversation. That's vetscafe.com, vetscafe.com.